Pokemon. It's a game for a lot of people that has gotten pretty easy and quick to complete. I mean, just look at the speedruns for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You can beat this game start to finish in 5.5 hours. And that's on the long side for a game. But what if I made a challenge that significantly slowed down how fast I beat the game? I started a brand new save on Pokemon Scarlet and I had one goal: catch a shiny Pokemon before each major battle, along with a couple other options. So overall, I had 21 shiny Pokemon to catch before I could complete the final battle. Pokemon Scarlet did introduce ways of increasing your shiny odds with Herba Mystica. However, you unlock those after beating the champion, which means I won't have access to that until the very last shiny to go for. So, we begin our journey, meet our starter selection, but they all looked weird. I didn't see anything that was shiny, so we kind of just take this duck here that we'll never use. And after we do that, we start to look for our true starter. Now to start, we have to just run around and hope that a shiny appears at full odds. That could take a... Oh. Less than an hour in, and we already found our starter Pokemon. A shiny Psyduck, the true starter. And how fitting that the game would try to force me to take this other duck when we find the true starter, Bigger Duck. And now we can truly start the game. We make our way to the school and get through all of the dialogue there, 90 minutes into the challenge. Now, Scarlet and Violet also changed the way that you can play a Pokemon game. Games used to be rather linear with the progression. Battle one gym, be able to advance in the world. However, this game's plot is about finding your own treasure. And so it opened the order that you can do all of the three major stories the game introduced. So, with us having a Psyduck as our first starter, instead of running to the first gym battle, we go to Clough, the first Titan. But before that, I also need to find another shiny, which also was quick. And just like that, we have our second member of the team, Goober the Shinx. We walk a little bit more forward and run into the first real battle, the Titan Claw. But thankfully we have our starter Bigger Duck, who quickly dispatches the crab and unlocks our first badge. Look, for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to call everything a badge here. Which means it's time to go hunting for another Pokemon. Now, I went into this challenge just wanting to find random shinies to replicate the experience of us finding our first shiny in the wild. But I can go to areas that could help us without manipulating the spawns. So we go off and spend some time searching for something that would help us fate Katie, the bug leader. Doing gyms will be a priority going forward as they unlock the level cap for catching Pokemon. And with that, it will have the map be more open to explore and hopefully find the next shiny. And after a few hours of looking, we find exactly what we're looking for. A shiny flying type, and one that I actually have never used yet. A Squawkabilly. We named them Yawasobi after the song that we were listening to by Yawasobi, and we head on over to Katie. But that increasing level cap that I mentioned, yeah, so our Squawkabilly is level 21. The level cap without a badge is 20. So after we do some olive rolling, we get into the gym battle with a Pokemon that may or may not decide to obey us. Thankfully, though, it's the first gym, and a bug one at that. So, with some turns that I don't get to do anything, Yawasobi still gets the job done, and gives us our second badge. This has been going really well so far, faster than I imagined. However, that was about to change. I spent hours running around aimlessly looking for the next shiny. I got to a point where I started hunting off-stream to record in hopes that I could find another shiny. I started running around aimlessly, and all of a sudden a rainstorm happened. Something happy about the rainstorms in this generation are Pokemon that are very light will actually blow away into the rain. All of them that are light except shiny Pokemon. And as I am running around, I stumble upon a Jigglypuff who is actually not blowing away. I get close, and it turns its head, and I see immediately in those eyes that that's a shiny. Oh my god, we finally found one! Oh my god. Oh, thank god. After 10 hours and in 3 days, we finally get our next member of our team. 3 days to Jigglypuff, who I immediately evolve into a Wigglytuff. Brassius is our next badge that we're going to go for. We have to go herd up some floras, corral them, and then we can get into our battle. Who, is also a grass type leader and promptly gets destroyed by Yawasobi. 3 badges down, not wanting to end my offline hunting after the pace slows, we go back and stumble around and our next team member, Watchroll, appears. Of course it's a Watchroll. Now, I have a history with this Pokemon. I have found this shiny 5, maybe 6 times already. This thing I cannot escape from. So of course, it's destined to fall in this challenge. But it's fine. Burb the Watchroll means we can progress the story some more. After some debating on what to do next, I decide I want to take out the Titan Bombardier. The Titan Bombardier unlocks us the ability to go surfing, which is great, as one of my fears right now is to be wandering along the beach and find a shiny that I cannot reach because of the water. So being able to swim and guarantee that I can get it would be a huge asset. So, and with a combination of our team that we have already in place, we can take down the Bombardier rather quickly. We go off to look for our next Pokemon, and I know there's one spot particular that spawns Larvitar. And I know I said I wanted the randomness to it, so I'm not going to try to manipulate for the Larvitar, but I think a Larvitar would be a rather cool shiny. So I start looking, and I start wandering around the area that I know they spawn, but what ends up spawning is a shiny Mankey, a very welcome addition despite not being what I went for. With Annihilate being able to be added later on to the run, this will be a great asset. We name them Engie, and they join the team. After doing the Titan, we go back to the gyms and run on over to Iono, the better streamer between her and I. But you know what she isn't better than me at? Battling. Well, we quickly take her down for our 5th badge overall. I think now's a good time to mention that the only shiny hunting method accessible to someone pre-post game is the mass outbreak. These allow us, after taking down 60 Pokemon within it, to lower the odds to about 1 in 1400 without the shiny charm. So it's still a high number, but it's much better than the base odds. I love Noibat. I think it's a great shiny. So after a couple hours of hunting in this outbreak, we spawn it in. We try to name them pronouns, since some people are afraid of them, and also afraid of dragons. However, Nintendo had some other plans. It's a pronoun. I can't. But we get the workaround, and we name it pro-noun. With pronouns on the team, we are able to make our way over to Kofu, who we have to return his wallet to, and run back over to challenge him to battle. We vault his Veluza and take our 6th badge. Getting this badge allows us to catch Pokemon up to level 40, which is a good amount of Pokemon in the Paldea region. We start running around to gather some items, and a group of Pyroar spawn. And I stare at one that looks different, unsure if it's shiny, because sometimes I just doubt myself. And sure enough, it was. This accidental shiny encounter is very appreciative, but it is a higher level than what we will obey. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. We just gotta get through one more gym. We name them Roar XD and move on to our next battle. I promised my chat while I was doing this, if I caught one more shiny on stream before we ended the day, I'd battle the People's Champ Larry. So, we meet Larry, everybody's favorite Jitlim leader, who quite frankly, I think my chat was hoping would beat me more than they were hoping I would win. So, much to their sadness, I take down Larry in a close battle and I take home my 7th badge. The next day comes around and I decide to go for a Glimmet outbreak that I had. Worried that the shiny could spawn in a wall because sometimes Pokemon spawn on the rocks instead of where they're supposed to be. Thankfully, though, after 3 hours of carefully checking, it appeared in the middle of the cave and I was able to catch them and name them Smashmouth since we were listening to them. With that, I move on to the Titan Earthworm, since it allows me to get bigger jumps, which, with some speedrunner tech of BLJs, I can now get to points that I might not be able to because of that bigger jump, so it'll come in handy. Able to bring Pyroar and Engie, who has evolved at this point, and take down another Titan for our 8th badge. I went to do some offline hunting as there was a Swablu outbreak I really wanted to get a shiny of, but it clicked over to midnight on my Switch when looking, so it disappeared, leading me to go check out another outbreak, and on my way, I stumble upon a shiny little Kamala. I've actually never used a Kamala, so I'm excited. We named them Eepee, and head out to Rhyme for our next badge. At this point, I don't have a lot of options for super effective damage, but Engie and Eepee with Sucker Punch become a nice combo for this double battles gym. We take down Moist Critical and then Rhyme for the 9th gym. Now, ever since I started shiny hunting in Scarlet and Violet, my chat has had obsession with one Pokemon. One that they always want me to shiny hunt and riot for if I don't. That Pokemon is Varoom. And lo and behold, I have an outbreak for it. To avoid everybody rioting on me, I decide to go for it, and after a couple hours, we find our golden Varoom, we name them Nugget, and we make our way to the 4th Titan, Great Tusk. Great is strong at this point in the game, but we proved to be too much for this Paradox Pokemon and unlocked the ability to fly in our 10th overall badge. More than half this point, I started running around aimlessly looking for the next shiny, and I decided to look around by this lighthouse because I just have a good feeling. And after a couple of minutes by the lighthouse, my intuition is right, and we add a pink Murkrow to the team. I love pink shinies, so this one got me very excited. We named them Hades, and I already had the Duskstone to make them a Honchkrow. Hades was the perfect shiny for us to find as we moved on to our next gym battle, which was Tulip, who absolutely has the best puzzle ever. While Tulip proves to be a tough battle, we still squeak out the victory for our 11th badge. After taking the rest of the day off, I jump in the next day to seeing a Magneton outbreak. Now, I shiny hunted a lot in Legends Arceus. Magneton was one of the 10 shiny Pokemon that I never got. So I was determined that this was the shiny I was going to get today. But while it's a hard one to look for in this game, especially with like lighting, after a couple hours, I am able to spot it. We add orbs to the team. I make my way over to Grusha, do some bobsledding with Koraidon, and start my battle with my feelings. I mean my Pokemon with Grusha. We have a good battle, and we have a good balance of Pokemon at this point to take them on. And while it was close, we were able to take down our 12th badge. Running around Paldea after some time, I stumble across a shiny Donphan. I love Donphan, so this is great. We need them to subscribe, since if you've made it this far into the video and you haven't clicked subscribe yet, well, you should. You're definitely enjoying this, right? Go on. I'll even give you a second. Anyway, beating Grusha means for this storyline, all I have left is the Elite Four. Finally, we're going to start taking on the third storyline that we have yet to do and neglected. Team Star. Now, the reason I wasn't doing anything Team Star related was, well, they don't provide you anything. Like, the Titan Pokemon give you HM. The gyms allow you to catch higher level Pokemon. Team Star allows us to craft more TMs, I guess. Not really anything needed. So with that being said, we run over to Giacomo at this point, I am over 30 levels ahead of, and quickly run through Giacomo for our 13th badge. After Giacomo, I start looking for our next shiny, and I go to the Glaciato Mountain since I haven't found anything up there, so I think maybe I'll have some luck. Sure enough, a shiny Frostlass appears. A perfect shiny since I don't have an ice type yet. We name them Twinkle, and it's off to Mela. And Mela suffers the same fate as Giacomo. They're pretty much the same level. Same result. 14 badges, 4 left. I end the day spotting a shiny Azumarill in the starting area. I love Azumarill. I think it's a great shiny and I'm excited for it. And this thing has huge power. This is going to be an amazing team member. We named them Yo-Yo and we only have 5 shinies left to get. Continuing on our demolishing of Team Star, we go to Atticus in the worst area of the game, the Lag Tree Thicket. I mean, the Tag Tree Thicket. But I mean, just look at these frames. I love the idea of the Team Star base battles, but I hate when my game is chugging at 10 FPS because of this area. Anywho, I get done with Atticus ASAP, vow to never go back there during this run, and 15 badges done. Opening up the game the next day, I was surprised by a Rotom outbreak. That's really exciting, so I fly over and I start the outbreak. While out there, we see a little deerling sitting there, only it had a pink flower on its head. That means it's a shiny. This is fabulous as it means I already have the outbreak set up for the Rotom, and I can come back after our next badge. We come up with the most original name of this run, Bambi for our dealing, and we go on to the next Team Star base, Ortega. We're finally getting to the point of the battles are in the 50s, so they are getting a bit tougher, but we have plenty of options to craft a team to take down our 16th badge. Going back to the Rotom outbreak, within an hour of starting to look at it again, our shiny Rotom appears. It is so small, but thankfully it stands out, and we get 5G the Rotom to the squad. I decide to finally get the last Titan taken care of with Tatsugiri and Dondozo. Beating them unlocks climbing, which allows us to pretty much fully explore the entire map of the main story. Taking down this Titan makes it our 17th badge and our final Titan in the Titan storyline. That's a lot of Titans. We spend quite a bit of time after that searching for our third to last shiny. I get frustrated and I talk about how rewarding this challenge will be when it's done and how it'll be a good memory. And as I say that, a shiny Bronzong appears. Feeling the only fitting name to give it is Memory, we name them and we take on our last badge. Ari is the final Team Star base. We make our way over and take on a tough fight at this point, which I might be a little underleveled about. But hey, what do you expect? I have caught 21 Pokemon trying to balance out their levels. Our team of shinies still proves to be better though, and we have all 18 badges. Before going to our next shiny though, I want to finish up 2 of the storylines. So, I go battle Arvin, and I take down Penny. 2 more shinies that I'm going to be going for. So I do some offline hunting, and then we find, boom, the shiny golden fortress. I personally think the shiny looks really good, don't you? Before battling the Elite Four, I let my chat help craft my team with some of their favorites from the run. So if you want to help a future build of my teams, or the nicknames for a future challenge, be sure to follow my Twitch stream where I do almost all these challenges live. The team we end up going with is Bigger Duck, our starter, Twinkle the Frostlass, Angie the Annihilate, Pronouns the Noivern, 5G the Rodom, and of course, everyone's favorite, Nugget the Reverum. We take on the Elite Four now. First up is the love of my life, Rika. After getting distracted by her, we get into battle, taking down each Pokemon in a rather back and forth moment, realizing that letting chat craft a team means not necessarily having the best option for certain matchups, but we take down Rika and we move on to Poppy. Why is Poppy an Elite Four member? This child should go back to the academy as I completely destroy her Steel-type team with just Angie. Next up is the People's Champ at his second job, Larry. Thankfully, we have Pronouns, and this is where they really start to become the MVP, hitting every hurricane that they use, shredding through this team along with 5G. The last Elite Four member, Hassel, the Dragon Leader, comes out. Again, we keep Pronouns out to deal with the first Pokemon, a mirror matchup, but we prove Shinies are superior and we take down their Northern. The combination of Twinkle and Pronouns, what a sentence, proves to be too much, and it's on to the champion. Now, we all know Geeta is not the greatest champion, but being underleveled against her definitely makes us a little bit of a challenge. But even so, she wasn't too much, and that was the third and final storyline complete. However, there's still one more thing left to do. 20 shinies found, but still none of them are exclusive to Scarlet, which I'd like to change. So for one last one, granted it might not be everybody's favorite, I spot a Skunk Tank outbreak. As I mentioned before, I love pink shinies. So I book it over to the area, and after about 2 hours of running around this outbreak, we find the last shiny to the team. And we added 21 the Skunk Tank to the team, and we venture to the last and best part of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We head over to Area 0 and speed through here as quickly as possible. While this is my favorite part of any Pokemon game, I know I wanted to make this an exciting end, so I got to it ASAP. We meet the professor, she tells us to challenge her, the banger music starts. The battle begins. We lead with Pronouns, as she leads with Slitherwing. We go for Hurricane again. Now at this point, this is the 8th Hurricane that we have clicked, and she hit the 8th one in a row. Next up with Screamtail, who gets destroyed by Nugget. Brute Bonnet comes out, we go back to Pronouns, who hits a crit Hurricane, one-shotting it. 9 Hurricanes in a row is a 4% chance, and Pronouns has accomplished that. Fourth up is the scariest Pokemon in my eyes, Fluttermane. It takes out a couple of my Pokemon, but we're able to whittle it down together. Next up is Standy Shocks. I try to send out 21 to explode on them because I think it'd be funny. And unfortunately, it goes down to 1 Earth Power. Well, at least I use them. After Subscribe comes in with 2 Earthquakes, the last Pokemon comes out, Roaring Moon. Pronouns goes for the 10th Hurricane and hits a 2.8% chance of hitting 10 Hurricanes in a row. Truly the MVP. Sadly though, she goes down. It wasn't enough. But the rest of the team is able to finish off the Roaring Moon, and the AI Professor goes down. The true final battle starts, but it's a scripted one as we finish off our Koraidon, have an emotional send-off. With that, we have finished the challenge. 62.5 hours, 21 shinies, and it's done. What an emotional journey this has been. And if you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments. This was the hardest I've ever worked for a challenge, and I'm so proud of everything that I was able to do. Although, I can't help that I'm forgetting something. I hope... No! No! No!